So initially, the doctors really honestly just told me that with a diagnosis the way that mine was, with an injection fraction as low as mine was, and at the weight that I was, that I could probably expect to live less than a year up to 5 years.
Wow.
And I couldn't go from bed 10 feet to the bathroom without having to stop. And that's when I knew, no, I have to go to the emergency room. It's the highest energetic food on the planet. Why not give all fruit a try? It's not going to harm you. This isn't a trial medication that someone is asking you to take that we don't know the side effects to.
Hmm.
This is nature's healing mechanism here. I wish that more people knew that it's a lot easier to heal yourself than it is to continue to be sick.
This episode of the Good Living Now podcast is sponsored by our friends at Kuvings. Now, I've tried many cold pressed juices over the years, but the Kuvings Auto 10 has truly simplified my routine. Now, my personal experience is that it's simple to operate and quick to clean. Now, with the Auto 10, I can make everything from nice cream to morning smoothies to sorbets, and I can even make plant-based milk. Now, if you'd like to give it a try, use my affiliate code JUICEGUY at checkout to save 10% on Kuvings. All right, go ahead, grab your fresh produce and get your juice on. Welcome to the Good Living Now podcast, where we talk to real people about real change leading to real health. I'm your host, Harold LaFall, and today I'm so excited about our guest. Not only did she lose 150 pounds naturally, she no longer has congestive heart failure, high blood pressure, or prediabetes. Well, she's here to tell us how she did it. Welcome to the show, Lena the Light. Hey, Lena, how you doing?
Hey, doing very well. So honored to be here.
Well, I am so happy that you said yes because your story is so inspiring. I I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this video with you and you look totally different. And then I learned your story. And it's so interesting when I was listening to your story. I've had family members that have had congestive heart failure. And when they've gotten the diagnosis, they were kind of left hopeless, like there was nothing that could be done. So to hear and see your story was so inspiring. So I'm so glad that you're here to share with us. How did you do it? But first, let's kind of start with the the diagnosis. How did you get to the point where you were diagnosed with congestive heart failure? What was going on?
You know, so initially I just felt shortness of breath. I thought maybe I'm out of shape and maybe I just need to go for more walks or something. And I mean, it got so bad over the course of like 4 days that I couldn't go to work. And I literally I couldn't go from bed 10 feet to the bathroom without having to stop. And that's when I knew, no, I have to go to the emergency room. And
Mm.
that's where they diagnosed me. I couldn't even get past telling them my name without crying and them calling cardiac triage to the ER. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And had you had like issues with your heart before this?
Heart issues, no. I did have high blood pressure for some years, and the doctors did tell me that it was resistant to medication. And they told me that heart failure could happen down the line without making these life changes, but I didn't think it would happen this soon.
So you had high blood pressure, but they said medication wouldn't help it?
Medicate, so I was on medication, but I was very resistant to the medication. Like my blood pressure was still elevated even with medication.
Mm. So you get this diagnosis. I can't even imagine. What are you thinking when they tell you you have congestive heart failure?
Life is over. This is my biggest fear. I had been Googling, medical diagnoses of what could be wrong.
Hmm.
And praying that it was something less serious. And so to hear those words, it was almost like my biggest fear come true.
Mm. And what did the doctors tell you that they needed to do, or what kind of treatment did they offer?
So initially, the doctors really honestly just told me that with a diagnosis the way that mine was, with an injection fraction as low as mine was, and at the weight that I was, that I could probably expect to live less than a year up to 5 years.
Wow.
And yeah, and pretty much that there is not much, there was no hope given to me for reversing it. There was no talk of anything that was positive with my diagnosis at all.
So they just told you you have this diagnosis. That's kind of it. There's nothing we can do. You wow. So where did you go from there?
So after I was discharged from the hospital 7 days later with a life vest, because it's not like you just go home and that's just it after you have heart failure. You have to have a life vest on just in case if anything happens to you, it'll shock you so that you don't pass away.
Oh wow.
So and then I had follow-up appointments pretty much every 2 weeks. And initially, my only thought was to eat clean, eat healthier. So I started eating a lot of steamed vegetables, cut down a lot on even processed vegan foods because I was at least vegetarian at the time. I did everything that Google said to do at first, Greek yogurt, um, like to pretty much not drink any dairy milk, which kind of was conflicting to me because why am I eating Greek yogurt if I shouldn't have dairy?
Right, right.
I was doing all of those things, but I felt worse. Initially, the
Mm,
medication made me feel worse.
mm. The medication for the heart failure, congestive heart.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, yep,
And so when did you really start looking at food as medicine and started to, because I know you did like a 60-day, just like all fruit.
yes.
How did you know to do that? What led you in that direction?
So I remember my husband had put me on to a holistic doctor on YouTube, and I went and just watched videos of his like 72 hours straight. And at the end of his videos, he does like consults with real people. And I was looking for someone that had heart failure like me, but
Hmm.
there was no one that had heart failure. The only thing that he recommended to people, consistently was diet change, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and some different percentage, 50%, 50%, you know, but at the time I did not like fresh raw veggies. I just didn't.
Hmm.
So I said, I'm just going to try all fruit. It's the highest energetic food on the planet. Why not give all fruit a try? And
Hmm.
so that's when I came up with the fruit. And then the first 30 days, I did all fruit. And then the second 30 days, I actually switched to juicing because I wanted to give my digestive system even more of a break so that my body had the energy to repair the organ that I needed it to repair, which was my heart.
Mm. Now, Lena, at the time, how old were you?
This
When
was
you
just last year. So I was 38 when I was diagnosed.
38. Wow. So
Yeah.
you do 30 days of all fruit, then you switch to juicing. Are you noticing any changes, any improvements?
Oh yeah. In the first 2 weeks, my circulation had improved. So let me back up for a second. On the medication, my circulation was so bad. If I would go from sitting to standing, I was lightheaded as if I was going to pass out. And they said that that was a part of the medication and I should wear compression socks. again, the doctors were not very helpful along this journey at all. So 2 weeks into changing my diet to all fruit, I decided, let me go in for some blood work now. Let me, I'm feeling better. I'm not feeling lightheaded anymore. I can tell my circulation is improving. I'm no longer getting any swelling in my feet and ankles. And this is just 2 weeks in.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, this is a great thing. Let me go talk to my doctor. My primary care doctor recommended that I start to eat steak once a week for for those nutrients for my heart because they were very important. And it's almost like you don't want to, you know, say anything wrong to the so I'm just like, yeah, okay, and just continued
Mm.
eating all fruit because also during this visit, I got some blood work done. I was more concerned about what my levels were and what they were changing as I changed my diet.
Mm.
And he took me off of my first two medications because of that blood work, because my
Mm.
potassium was high. And he's like, well, that's also not a good thing. Let's bring your potassium down some. Let's quit these potassium sparing diuretic medications. And then the next thing you know, my cardiologist was taking me off of the other three medications because my blood pressure would go so low when I took the medications because of the diet that I was on.
Mm. Wow. And did they ask you what were you doing? Did they?
They did it. They were not very interested in it. When I told them that I was eating all fruit, they said that there's no way that I would get all of the nutrition that I needed. Why was I doing this? And that I would regret it in the long run. And at the same time, while also giving me positive results about my EKGs and,
Right.
how much weight I was losing. And, so it was almost like it was very contradicting information that I really
Mm.
didn't know how to process at the time. And so I kind of kept what I was doing to myself because I knew that my updated echocardiogram appointment would be coming up. And I would
Hmm.
rather know what my results were
Hmm.
versus hear anyone, put any negativity towards what it was that I was doing that I knew was making me feel better.
Right, right. So 30 days of fruit. And what kind of fruits were you eating? Like you wake up eating fruit and what were you eating?
It was a lot of watery fruits. Watermelon. I did eat a lot of papaya, lots of berries because I read that they were regenerative fruits and I wanted cellular healing. I needed as much antioxidants in my bloodstream as possible because the oxygen is what heals you, and the
Hmm.
fruit is what's putting those antioxidants into your body. So lots and lots of grapes because they're
Mm.
astringent, and I just
Hmm.
figured that it would help to pull the rest of whatever, mucus was left inside of my body out.
Mm. And so after 60 days, do you go back to the doctor?
Yep. I had to get my updated echocardiogram.
And what happens then?
So when he gives me my results, I'm going to just tell you this also. My initial echocardiogram, my ejection fraction was 15%. My left ventricle was slightly enlarged. These are the results of what the lab test showed.
Hmm.
And that was a slight issue for me because I'm like, well, how is your left ventricle going to go back to normal just by eating I don't know. I'm not a
Hmm.
doctor. I wouldn't know,
Right.
So when I go back to get my results, it was on the 27th of June now. So I started off through on May 1st. So we're not exactly 60 days later.
Hmm.
And he said it was as if he was looking at someone completely different, their results, because my left ventricle was no longer slightly enlarged. And at that time, my ejection fraction was at 55%, that of a normal, healthy adult woman.
Wow.
Yeah,
How did you feel? What were you thinking? Because but you were already feeling better, so you knew something was happening. You knew that,
right.
what was your reaction to that?
So my initial reaction to that was I just wanted to drop to my knees and just thank God that I was able to keep myself disciplined enough in order to do this. Because when you have congestive heart failure, if you don't get to a certain percentage, you have to get a pacemaker put into
Mm,
your heart. And that was my biggest worry, is to have this battery operated thing inside of my natural body for the
yeah.
rest of my life. So, the doctor was almost disappointed. I have to be honest. Like, he was like, I thought I was scheduling to operate on you, and no,
Mm,
you're all good now. So, you know, which to
wow.
me I was so grateful. That was the first and only thing that I could be, was grateful.
Mm. Because had you followed what the doctors were telling you, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
We
You
surely would
know,
not. We surely would
wow.
not.
That that's amazing. That is amazing. Thank God thank God you didn't listen to the doctors and you became your own advocate and and did your own research and was willing to make the changes. Well, how hard was it though to go from, because what were you eating before? Were you eating like the standard American diet before this diagnosis? Oh, you were a vegetarian, you said.
I was vegetarian, so I wasn't eating any meat. There was a week where I was eating salmon because, again, from the Google search, it says the omega-3s are good for your heart. So
Hmm.
there was a week before I went to all fruit where I was eating salmon. And but other than that, I was eating very low carbs. Like, if we want to talk about my diet before my diagnosis, that's a
Hmm.
completely different
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah. What was your
Oh my
diet?
goodness. Impossible burgers, all sorts of vegan processed food. But I also, because I was vegetarian, I was also eating lots of cheese, um, lots of dairy milk, regular cow milk,
Mm,
sometimes up to a gallon a day.
mm,
I was about 320-ish pounds at my
mm,
largest.
mm-hmm.
And kind of just more addicted to food and how it was making me feel. So probably the chemicals versus the actual taste of the food.
Right.
Um, Potato chips, I mean, you name it. I was a French fry vegetarian. Like, if I
Mm,
went somewhere that they didn't have anything on the menu, instead of opting for a salad, I would opt for French
French
fries or
fries.
whatever the fried carbs was.
Mm. So was it challenging, like when you first did the 30 days of all fruit and the juicing? Was that challenging for you?
It honestly, it was so refreshing. It was like, at the time, I remember saying to my husband, "When's the last time that you ate an apple?
Mm,
Like, just something in its natural form that has not been changed by man. When's the last time?" And he's like, "I'm really not sure." But it was so refreshing. And I didn't feel like I had another option.
mm,
So I was fighting for my life. At that point, there was no plan B. This was the only plan that was available to me. And
mm-hmm.
there was no other, like, I was determined to only eat fruit.
Mm. And so now your heart is good, high blood pressure, you
Gone.
gone. And then you
Gone.
were diagnosed with prediabetes. And I know some doctors tell folks who are dealing with prediabetes to stay away from fruit. And
Hmm.
but you no longer have prediabetes.
No, no. And I have my blood sugar is completely regulated. So the the doctors, they're good at diagnosing, but they are not healers. If
Hmm.
you When I thought about it, um, doctors prescribe you medicine. And if that medicine was meant to heal you, then they wouldn't have to up your dosage as time goes on.
Mm,
And they wouldn't have to continue you on a medicine for the rest of your life. So, once I put that into perspective, my mind kind of shifted and said, this doctor is not going to have the final say of my life. This diagnosis is not a life sentence.
Right.
unless I make it that,
Hmm.
and I can't allow it to defeat me.
Yes. Yeah. And so now you're 150 pounds lighter.
Yes. It's still strange. It's still really hard to pick clothes that, they look a lot smaller than I'm used to my clothes looking.
Uh,
It's a mental shift.
and how long did it take you to release 150 pounds?
I just lost this last 10 pounds since June. But it's been about a year and 7 months now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations. That is
Thank
awesome.
you so
That
much.
is awesome.
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
So, Lena, I'm so glad you're sharing your story and educating and informing folks that, change is really possible and healing is
Oh, yeah.
possible. What do you wish more people knew about health and healing?
I wish that more people knew that it's a lot easier to heal yourself than it is to continue to be sick. I wish
Mm,
that more people took more interest in their own health versus taking interest in making appointments to go to a doctor that's not going to heal you.
mm,
I wish that people knew that the choices that you make of what you put into your mouth dictate what state of health that your body will be in, and not just for today. They say a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips, but it's more
mm,
than just weight gain.
mm-hmm,
It is more than just that. And the little inflammation that we have in our body, the little pain, that little bit of chest pain that you might get, the little back pain, you don't know what that is, but it could be inflammation, and which could probably go away with a simple diet change. That's a lot easier than you would think.
mm. That's good. What would you say to somebody, they may be dealing with congestive heart failure right now, or dealing with high blood pressure that medication isn't helping, and they feel kind of hopeless, like, because the doctors aren't giving them any kind of real direction in terms of real things that they can do to, well, the doctor's not even telling them that it's possible to reverse any of these things. They're kind of leading folks to believe that this is it. This is the way it's going to be. What would you say to a person in terms of what to do to get started on a healing journey?
I would say if it has ingredients, remove it from your diet.
Mm,
Start there. And even if it's hard, we can do the hard things.
mm,
Even if you think that you can't do it, take it one day at a time. If you can't afford to eat only fruit, or maybe you have, you know, just know that your diagnosis, it's not going to stop your life unless you allow it to.
mm,
And you have full control over everything that it is that you decide to eat. So
mm,
just try it out. The thing about eating all fruit, Harold, is it's not going to harm you. This isn't a trial medication that someone is asking you to take that we don't know the side effects to.
mm-hmm,
This is nature's healing mechanism here.
mm, mm-hmm,
Just try it out. And even if your blood sugar is high in the beginning, understand what that is. Understand that your cells could be so dehydrated that the sugar is just in your bloodstream versus being accepted into those cells to hydrate them so they
mm,
can, like there's just so many different parts of healing that I've learned over time, that when I do meet someone with congestive heart failure, I tell them you have to find the hope, and it's going to start in your mind. It doesn't start
mm,
on your plate. It doesn't start in your refrigerator. It's going to start in your mind. You have to
mm,
have the mind to say that I am not this diagnosis and I am going to get better.
mm. Yeah. So now, what's your diet like now? What do you eat on? What's a typical day of eating for Lena now?
So I actually did all fruit this summer. I love summer fruits, and yeah, I'm just, um, I actually went on a cruise in July and did have some salads and other things because it's a cruise. They didn't have very
Mm,
much fruit available. But
mm,
I stick to whole foods on the regular. When it's not summertime, I'm not big on cooked food anymore, um, because the natural, the living enzymes are not available in a cooked food.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I prefer raw, and I've been raw for the majority of this year. I started in April.
mm. Awesome. And so now, Lena, you're using your journey and what you've learned to help other people. You know,
Yes.
tell us how folks can get in contact with you. Where are you at on social media so they can find you like I found you?
So you can find me on Facebook. Either I have a professional page, Lena the Light, or Lena, Lena the Light. I have Instagram, Lena underscore the light. Also YouTube and TikTok, same name, Lena underscore the light. I also have a website, www.lenathelight.com. I have lots of free resources on my website, such as I have a free ebook called The Fruit Frequency, The Truth About Fruit and Healing. I also have a 21-day fruit reset for anyone that's interested in getting started on eating only fruit and maybe don't know exactly how to start. Um,
Mhm.
it includes journal prompts, it has affirmations, because healing is not just about what you're putting in your mouth. Healing has to do with your mind. If there's a mind, body, and spirit connection when it comes to healing,
Mm. And do
I
you
hope that
provide,
helps out.
yeah, that's so true. And do you provide one-on-one coaching for
I
folks?
do.
Awesome.
Yes, yes. If you'd like a consultation with me, I actually have a consultation form on my website, that you can just fill out and email over to me, and I would be more than happy to. I do have a few clients now, but yeah, I do offer coaching, and I'm also going to be
Awesome.
offering group coaching as well, if anyone is interested in doing it in a group setting for added accountability.
Awesome. Well, Lena the Light, thank you so much for sharing your light, your journey. You are a true inspiration. You are going to help so many more people and give so many more people hope to know that change is possible and healing is possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.